Here we
All right,
go.
here we are.
For the first but not the last time in 2025, it's Mikey and Vinnie taking on the world. He's Vinnie. I'm Mikey. Happy New Year to you, Vin.
Happy New Year, Michael. I hope it's a good year for the both of us and everybody, our families, and everything that's good. But of course, we start the year off with
It's a
with
very American,
yeah,
it become a very American day. I turned on the TV this morning trying to catch the Rose Parade. 4 blocks that way. No, wait. 4 blocks that way. It's Colorado Boulevard, better known to some people as Route 66, the home of the Rose Parade. And it starts every day at 8 a.m. on New Year's Day. It's a beautiful sunny day, another fabulous postcard day from Southern California. Contrast that with the sunny morning in New Orleans, and you've got what America has become, a dichotomy, a coin with two sides. Heads you get the Rose Parade, tails you get New Orleans. And
yeah.
that's the nation we live in. That's the day we're observing. And both I don't know who made the call this morning for the parades to go ahead. Same guy who said we're going to play football no matter what. But you can bet that those decisions were made early in the morning. Do we move the games? Do we move the parades? Do we move the observances? What do we do in response to this guy with an ISIS flag on his rental truck?
Well,
Somebody had to make that call.
Mikey, I think that there's a couple of things at play here. You I guess you can look at it as, and for those who may not just those who may not have heard, some guy who was killed by police took a truck, a Ford F-150 pickup truck with
Rented.
an ISIS flag on it, from what Mikey is saying, and decided to drive it into the crowd, the celebrating crowd in New Orleans last night on Bourbon Street, a place where people gather traditionally on New Year's Eve, and just as they do in Times Square and many other places down here at the Space Needle, and they come together, and this guy decided to at 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:05 or something like that, drive this pickup truck through the crowd, killing 10 people, injuring scores of others. I think there's some reports say there's 20 to 30 other people injured, um, and then also coming out of his truck, or not coming out of the truck, but taking a gun from inside his truck and shooting at people and injuring 2 officers. It sounds like they're not critically injured, but again, shooting at people before the police killed him. This is something that we haven't, we saw something like this, I guess, in Germany a week or two ago. Somebody slammed into the Christmas markets there,
Yeah, the
uh,
Christmas fairs.
Christmas fairs, but it's something that we haven't seen over the past year or two that much here in the United States. And when it has been, it's been some kind of terror, some kind of domestic, somebody
Right.
that's gone nuts. Here, there are all the indications so far that this is some kind of sleeper cell, some kind of individual. We don't know yet, and I'm not going to say whether this guy's acting alone or he's got a group or what. Is he just some depraved idiot that decided to get an ISIS flag and put it on his? I mean, I don't know, where do you get an ISIS flag in the United
That's just what I
States?
was. That's just what I was going to ask you, Vinny.
I mean, do you
When you
go to the flag
when,
store? Do you buy it online?
when you're in a hurry,
Yeah,
and you're in a pinch and you need that ISIS flag for your attack in the morning, where do you
do you
get it?
just make one up? I remember I used to I used to have a friend that I that was really special to me, and she loved That Girl, the TV show That Girl,
Right.
and one of her favorite scenes was the part where Marlo Thomas is going through Central Park with the kite with the girl on it, the logo.
The
And
hair.
so for her birthday one year, I decided that that was a cool thing to get, to get her. It was something special. So you don't just go to the store. You can't just go on the internet and get the logo or get a kite. So I had to go to an artist and actually have them make up the kite. Do a graphic artist, and so you don't just go get these things. You have to go to somebody and get it made up, or you have to buy it from the black web, the dark web, whatever they call it. I don't know. It's it's strange to me that somehow this guy wouldn't have set off some kind of signals or something like that, but he didn't, and he went out there early this morning in New Orleans,
What are you
and
saying?
killed a bunch of people. And so, to open up 2025, America is faced with an act of terror, an act of horrible, horrible consequences. There was a guy on um, trying to describe the scene, and he described it so accurately that it made me sick.
Yeah.
Of people being crushed by these cars and everything like by this car, this truck, and everything like that. It's just, it's horrible, Michael. It's a horrible. Any way you slice it up, it's horrible.
Now, it's time to react to it. This is a big day. There are football games across the country. One here in Pasadena between Oregon State and Ohio State, which we would have normally been talking about. The Sugar Bowl is going to be played in New Orleans, the home of this attack. The city is the home city of this attack. And what can simple humans do to ensure that there is security for these events? Because you know they're going to go on.
I don't know what you can do, to be honest with you.
Be vigilant.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you really can do is just have your eyes open, and if you see something,
Say something.
say something. Grab a cop, grab somebody in charge, and say, "Listen, there's something's not right here. This guy's, got an overcoat and he's got a bag with marbles, and he's about to spread them over the street. Whatever you think doesn't
Whatever
look
you
right. Whether you can't be embarrassed about. Okay, I'm gonna rat this guy out. I'm gonna say something." Even if the guy's not, if he's doing something suspicious, there's always going to be the idiots
Oh
after
yes.
something like this that want to make themselves look like they're doing something because they think it's
Right.
a joke.
Right.
Unfortunately, we grow these kind of people in America. Um, uh, it'll be a way for them to get some kind of notoriety.
The
And
guys, the guys who always said we thought it was going to be funny. We
yeah,
thought, we thought,
guys
we
who walk
thought,
in
we
the
thought.
airport and say it's a bomb, or I got a
Yeah.
bomb, or when they see the sign that says, and fortunately, they tend to now lock those people up as they should be. Um, I have a lot of questions about this, obviously, but it's still fresh, and we just don't know. Um, but the first thing that I would think would be something, and this is something that I've noticed at these types of events, um, is that the security is not what it was 5 or 6 years ago, 10 years
Especially,
ago.
especially at 3 in the morning when the things are winding down.
Yeah, things just barriers that are up that are I don't want to say impenetrable, but you would have to really work hard to get through it. Uh, become able to be driven around by going up on the sidewalk. People at
I think that's what happened here, Ben.
Yeah, people at people are supposed to be guarding gates because some security company doesn't want to spend an extra $7 an hour or $10 an hour for 10 guards to stand at a corner, tells them to go home. What's going to happen between now and the end of the show? Well, this is what you have. And now, again, I'm not saying that that's what happened here, but I'm saying in the course of going to different events and the knowledge of events that I have, I know that these are things that do happen
Oh
because
yes.
we have let down our guard in these types of events. Now, New York
And
does it right. New
they're up all
York
night.
does it. I mean, there. You go into Times Square at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you better bring a diaper
You
because
can't
you're
get
not
out.
going. You're not going out. The cops are there. That nobody goes in and out. That's it. That's all.
No cars, no trucks for days at a time.
Nothing. Nothing. You can't park it. But they've had experience with this.
People parking cars.
Yeah, they've had. I mean, they've already stopped terror plots where people park their truck in Times Square with explosive. They've had 9/11. They've had so many different terrorist things going on. With New Orleans, who knows how many? Who knows what their training is? Who knows what their protocols are? I mean, this is all stuff that'll come out in the coming days. But you know, again, I think in this country we have let down our guard a bit.
And the funny thing is, I was thinking, well, maybe New Orleans got kind of sleepy around 3 o'clock. But think of the number of people that were on the street that were hurt in this attack at 3 in the morning. It wasn't a
There's
sleepy
still a fair
habit,
amount of people on the street.
and
As a matter of
they're
fact,
they're
people
drinking
coming
hurricanes and
back from
partying.
other places.
Yeah,
They wouldn't necessarily have to be standing on Bourbon Street, but people out at clubs. I mean, New Orleans is virtually a 24-hour city. It's
absolutely.
it's Las Vegas without the gambling, without the casinos. I'm not sure there's gambling going on, but it's that kind of place where, and the streets are small. It's an old section of town, and you know, it's not hard. There's a lot of back alleys. There's a lot of areas where you can maneuver a truck. They might be left unguarded,
Small old streets in the French Quarter.
right? And no cars, just people. So all you have to do is get to one access point that's been left. I don't want to say unattended, but one cop. I guess and again, we'll find out. There's so much that we're going to learn in the coming days, and I don't want
There's,
to. I wasn't there, so I don't want to just sit there and say this person's wrong, that person's wrong. But I
they're
do
gonna
think that
they'll make a plea for all the phone video, and they'll find they've got everything. It'll take some
yeah,
time.
they've already gone. Yeah, I mean, I've already seen video from a couple of different sources. I mean, all of these places now have these doorbell cameras and video surveillance, especially Bourbon Street, because it is the focal point
It's a
of
wild and crazy place.
everything that goes on. All of those pictures you see with people going down the street at Mardi Gras throwing beads, people standing on balconies, that's all Bourbon Street. This is
Yeah.
Bourbon, I think, in Canal, if I'm not mistaken, which is pretty much in the heart of the Bourbon Street. I
The
think
one
if
it's,
I'm not
it's,
mistaken, I remember right, it's right in the middle of the action. So
well, it's the heart of the party, and it's a double party. New Year's on one hand, Sugar Bowl on the other hand. The town is chock a block. The hotels are filled. The streets are packed.
yeah,
It's
you
the
can't.
it's the ideal time.
It's one of those places that I always go, man, I don't know if I'd want to go there. When I was 25,
Oh
I would
yeah,
go. You
Mardi
know,
Gras,
uh,
Mardi Gras.
right? You'd be right in the middle of it. Especially with Oregon being down there. Who knows how many people from the Northwest are going to be down there? Um, and
Well,
the
Oregon's
Northwest
playing
people,
here.
I know when they get to a place like that, they party.
Oregon's playing here, Vinny, in Pasadena.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Oregon.
Yeah,
But
they're
there are
here.
people from the Northwest that go there to watch the game.
Well, the game with Oregon is here in Pasadena, not New Orleans.
Oh, the game. Oh, Oregon's playing that, and who's playing in the Sugar Bowl?
Notre Dame and
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought they were in the Sugar Bowl. That's right. They're in the Rose Bowl.
right, Oregon State and Ohio. I mean, Oregon and Ohio State.
Yeah,
Two big
Oregon
ones.
Ohio State is in Pasadena. It's by you.
Correct. Right.
Okay. So, all right, forget that. Like I said, it's all
Doesn't mean
new
there's not a lot.
information.
Doesn't mean there's a lot of people from Oregon down there boozing it up.
Well, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, people do go there. But again, we're in a situation, and this. I don't know if you remember this, Michael. This happened here, not the end result, but they had a terrorist plot here back in, boy, I want to say 90. No, 2002, 2003, something like that,
What happened?
where they caught the guy on the boat coming from Canada, and they
Oh
caught him with
yeah,
explosives in his car,
yeah.
and he was coming to blow up the Space Needle or the crowd around the Space Needle.
Friendly Raheem had come to town, but he didn't make it.
Yeah, they had. I guess they have the bomb sniffing dogs on these boats, and the dog, I guess if I remember right, sniffed the car or whatever, and the next thing you know,
Good
I
doggy.
remember he did something odd too. I don't know if he get out of the car and run, or bless you, tried to get out of the car and run, or what happened, but something odd happened around that
Vinny
whole.
says Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Kristen's watching the replay of the Rose Parade, which, by the way, divides this town. It's the funny thing about it is you can't go from one side of the town to the other for like 2 days. You can't get across Colorado Boulevard. There are stands that have been put up, artificial stands on the side of the street. People camp out. They throw tortillas. You can't go from this side of the town to that side of the town, and that'll be in effect through most of the day as well after the parade because they go to a place called Washington Park and park all the floats so people can watch them and go see them up close. So this town is uniquely crippled in a certain way to respond to anything like a terrorist attack. It's a
Uh,
it cripples the response time for. I'm sure
oh
going
yeah,
through a
I
lot of
would.
people's heads. How do we get from this side of the town to that side of the town in an emergency if we have to?
Well, don't they have a couple of? I mean, I would think that an emergency crew, emergency trucks, whatever, emergency vehicles, first responders have points that they could get through. I know they're in the
I'm
St.
sure
Patty's
you're.
Day parade.
I'm sure you're
They
right.
used to do that when people would have to go, emergency trucks and stuff would have to go across town. You could go to like 65th or 72nd, a few of those streets, and they would actually,
Chief of Detectives Flanagan has not walked the city blocks for many years. He's not
yeah,
feeling so good. Let's get him.
yeah.
Let's get him on
So,
oxygen.
it was, yeah. So I don't know. Again, Michael, there's two things at play here, I think. And I think the first one is, again, it shakes your confidence. I think, I mean, listen, the FBI is not going to stop every terror plot. They're not
Not
going to
many.
catch everything.
True.
It's a guy with an Arabic name now renting a truck.
Good luck.
Uh, is that now reason to go out and investigate somebody? But then again, you have uh, many of these terrorists aren't Arabic, or Arabic ancestry.
We don't
You
know
got
what.
guys.
Do we know that this guy was Muslim?
I don't know if he was Muslim. I know he had an Arabic name.
Okay, I didn't know.
I'll look to see if I can find it. I saw that CBS reported that a little while ago. Um,
But my first thought was not that. My first thought was all the people that I spoke with casually at this store when you say Happy New Year are going, let's hope it's a peaceful New Year. Let's hope it's a good year. Let's hope it's better than last year. Let's hope this is a good one. Let's hope we have all this negative business behind us. Let's hope it's going to be a beautiful year for the nation, for the citizens. We didn't make it one day, not one damn day.
yeah, 3 hours.
Did you make it to midnight last night?
Yes, I did. I fell asleep quickly after midnight, but I actually made it to midnight. The
That's my.
suspect identified as 42-year-old Shamsud Din. Wait, now my computer just.
We'll just call him Shamsud for short.
Yeah, as everybody's trying to use the New York Times site here, it's. I use it to. I always try to go to the New York Times site, and it's betraying me this morning.
After you paid for it,
Okay. Okay, Shamsud Din Bahar Jabbar.
what kind of a musical name for such an idiot?
Yeah, I don't. 42 years old. That's all that they. That's all that they really say about him.
Well, I wonder if he lived in New Orleans or if he was
No, I think he
maybe.
rented the truck, or he came from Texas. Now I don't know that he lived in Texas. I don't know but there's I guess he either rented the truck or he bought the truck or the truck is
I thought
from
it was
Texas.
a rental. I thought, and the ice chest that he had with him was full of I don't know how many improvised explosive devices.
Well, Michael, this is something that is
He had a plan,
yeah, no, this guy definitely had he had an idea. He knew what he wanted to do.
and he had a
He
long
was
gun.
he was either radicalized or who knows how he I guess also to say he was an American citizen, had a social security card, and easily they would talk, saying on CBS that they because I was watching their coverage this morning, and
Well, if you live in the apartment next to Hamad, you got a problem this morning. It's going to be very busy in your neighborhood.
yeah, if you're and I guess they're also investigating a fire in a Airbnb that it looks like he may have rented, to see whether that has
Well, it could be more
anything.
American than burning out your Airbnb.
So anyway, that's about. I know they're going to hold a press conference a little later this morning. The news right now is mostly people who live in the area who either came home or came out of their houses last night. Um, there were a number of people who, and there was this one guy that I was listening to his description, as I talked about before, and he said it was really bad because he's a trained paramedic, and they wouldn't let him come down from the balcony to go down there and help people. I said, no, you stay up there. Um, I don't know, you know, who knows who told him that or what the situation was, but I could imagine it was just one of chaos and panic, and they didn't want anybody else that wasn't
You say you're a paramedic. I don't know you're a paramedic. Stay on the balcony.
right. Exactly. Who knows what it was, but it's again, it's a sickening feeling. To as you said before, you traditionally tell people it's going to be a good, you have a good year, peace, and let's try to be nicer to each other this year, and all of that kind of stuff. And you start the year off with this. You start the year off with looking at, and you know that this is going to be something that people are going to look at and say, this is why we need to not let people in this country. This is why we need to not, to take away our own freedoms. And when something like this happens, it does take away some of our freedoms.
They said the security was at the highest level.
I wonder then if cities like New Orleans that make their bread on parties will even pause. Uh, Certainly, they'll remember it and they'll treat the the passing of these people with respect. But they got a football game to play this afternoon. There's going to be another giant party. The site of that terrible accident will be cordoned off, but for the blocks all the way around it, it's going to be hurricanes for everybody. And I'm not decrying that or criticizing that. It's just that that's the way New Orleans is built. That's the way New Orleans parties. That's the way the business and the Chamber of Commerce is saying, come to town,
Right.
come bring your party here. No matter we party no matter what. And you have to applaud that on the one hand, and then on the other hand say, but that's what made you the target of this attack.
Well, this is one of the few cities that makes a
They're
party out of a
at
funeral.
highest alert for security.
When they have a funeral, they have they hire a band, and the band goes down the street behind the funeralized, and
Second line.
yeah, and it's It's an event. So I mean, although you know, it just seems like life there. And again, I'm not saying that life is cheap, but the dollar rules.
Yeah.
And
Christian is telling me that LA is on its highest alert right now because of
yeah, I would think that
yeah.
that every that anywhere that has a gathering of people today. I know Philadelphia has the Mummers Day parade
Oh
that
yeah,
goes
that's
on
a
there.
great thing. That's great
Um,
fun.
yeah, I'm sure they're secure. I'm sure security because they don't know yet if this is somebody just acting on their own
Or if it's a series of attacks set up in advance.
or if it's right, or if it's something that that I mean, I don't think they have any way of really knowing that unless this guy
Well,
left some kind of
they
manifesto or something.
have a means to monitor chatter, and I think that probably what we're dealing with is a lone wolf. I hope that's what we're dealing with.
We don't know. Maybe they know. I'm sure they have some insight into that. They're just not saying right now. But at this point, we just don't know. And if they know, they're probably not going to say anything in hopes of catching anybody else that is.
I can help you make those bombs, but I'm not going to New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times somebody like this probably didn't act alone. There's so many moving parts to making bombs and getting guns and driving to New Orleans. I mean, it's something that it takes a little bit. So there's probably somebody else out there that knows that this guy was acting suspicious and understands what was going on and didn't bother picking up the phone.
And did they'll find out where he lived and was he active politically or religiously or in any means a member of the community that was Muslim or Arabic
Oh
or
yeah, yeah. Anybody who have had contact with this guy can expect a visit.
has already been knock knock knock.
Yeah, I mean they're already. I'm sure that they're going through his house and his apartment, wherever he was living and wherever he may have stayed between Texas
Well, I
and.
should have known something was going to happen like this, Vinny, because I made a long list of the artists that we lost in 2024. It was a lengthy and surprisingly talented list of great musicians that died last year. I thought could go through that today, but naturally, because I prepared, that's
Well,
not.
I mean, I don't know that there's going to be a lot more to say about this right now. I think in days to come there'll be more, but it is really hard to speculate on something like this because we just don't know. We're not, it's not like Mikey and Vinnie have these great sources inside the FBI and they're telling us, they're calling us up and saying, hey, well, you guys ought to know this and you guys ought to know that. Um,
They know us, but they don't want to talk about it. Yeah, we follow them. They're okay. Anyway, if you have a press pass for today's game here in Los Angeles, you better get to the game early because I think it's going to be a difficult.
well, yeah,
Might
I
be
would
difficult.
imagine that they're going to be searching and looking and trying to find, any irregularity. If
No gray area.
I mean, I remember again going to New York after 2001, after 9/11, and going into Yankee Stadium and going into to different places. The hotel where the players were staying. We were staying in the same hotel, and you know you
Lockdown.
had to you had to get your bags checked. You had to get if you went into Yankee Stadium, not only did you have to get your bags checked, but they went through your laptop to make sure that it was an actual laptop that it operated. You had to go in, you had to open it up, and you had to sign into it. And if your laptop didn't go on, if you had a dead battery, you weren't going in. You gotta sit there and plug it in and charge it up and wait for it to be able to sign on. It was the thickest security that I'd seen, and I mean the press line to get into Yankee Stadium,
It's
and you
something.
know how patient the people in the media are.
Oh,
Uh,
they're known for their patience and their politeness.
and I also remember you had to get all of your equipment looked at. Um, we had the cases that came with with all the radio equipment in it, and those cases had to get inspected as well, and a seal put on them until they were taken up to the broadcast booth. So the security was incredible for the playoffs after 9/11. I mean, the whole city was on a high alert, waiting for something to happen, and it was again just um, a crazy scene. And I suspect that will happen tonight or today because I'm sure they're already loading in, if not loaded in already for the Sugar Bowl. Excuse me. And they're probably going to have to go back and reinspect everything in that stadium.
Yep.
You
Because
know,
a lot of the setup at the Rose Bowl happened yesterday, and they were doing live shots from the Rose Bowl pregame for yesterday's games.
yeah,
So
I'm
they're going to
sure.
have to
I'm
go back and
sure that,
check all that.
and I'm sure that the security. I mean, but again, the security is lax. I mean, I've even seen it, here at Safeco or at the stadiums here and the venues here. The security is not what it. You have to walk through a metal detector. But again, with plastic explosives these days and plastic, the guns that they print on these 3D printers,
Right.
you can you can get past that stuff.
Yep. That's a fact.
Well, and I don't know that Americans are they don't enjoy the security checks. They want security, but they don't enjoy the security.
They don't want to be the subject of it.
Right. They don't want to be the subject of it. People complain and they moan and this and that. And I'm always one of those people that say, listen, do what you got to do. If I don't like it, I won't come here.
And if you want this guy in a good mood or a bad mood, leave him alone.
Yeah, it's just at this point in time. Now, if this had happened 30 years ago, when it was just basically walk into any venue, you'd be upset about it. But our history, and the way things have gone in this country in the past 30 years, um, you comply.
Well, if this is the way this year's going to go, we're either going to be at our wits' end or else we're going to be hardened and callous to it. And you can drive through a crowd, you can do a terrorist attack, and we'll just go, that's what happened today.
Well, I don't know. Well,
No, it's not going to happen.
yeah, I don't know if we get hardened and callous to it. I hope we learn lessons from it, and I don't know that actually happens. Um, Listen, you have something that's not going to change. You have, um, easy access, and I don't want to say that guns caused this because this is, the fact that
Ford's
this guy
caused
had
it
a gun is almost secondary.
to the fact he had a big
Uh,
Ford.
we're not, yeah. I mean, his weapon of choice, and actually, when you go back and you start to think of more and more people's weapon of choice in these things are cars and trucks. Um, and what do you do about that?
It's the tool of the lone wolf.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do? Can you even do anything about that? Um, because how do you know when somebody's renting a car that they're gonna? I mean, you have to literally catch it before that. And so what this does, Mikey, I think, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I think this does take away. In some ways, things like this accomplish what the terrorists want. I think the terrorists want us to feel as insecure in our country as they feel in their countries.
Or as they feel in this country.
Yeah, and so by doing these kinds of things, they tend to make us, I think, feel less secure. It takes away some of our freedom. We don't feel free to go to a Space Needle thing today or a big New Year's celebration or something like
Well,
that.
how excited are you at our age and our with our experience about being in a big crowd on a huge party now?
I'm I don't I've come to not like big crowds.
Exactly.
I've come to yeah, if I want to go out and see music, I want to see it in a smaller venue. If yeah, just I mean a baseball game is about the biggest crowd I want to be in. And I don't know that I'm all that secure about going to a baseball game anymore. You know, it's just sometimes you know I just listen. I get frazzled about going to the supermarket sometimes. If I'm up in the Winco, I'm looking around. I'm looking at I'm looking at people, and I'm because how many
Oh
of these
wait.
things happen?
Well, you got your New York ears on. You're listening for something that's wrong. You're listening. You're
Yeah,
watching for something
yeah,
out of order.
yeah. You definitely are. And listen, I've been in situations where I've been held up or in the middle of an armed robbery, and so I know what that feels like.
You don't want to be there.
And if you ever have been through that, you never are on alert again when you're in a public place. You don't let your guard down. When you sit in a restaurant, you sit looking at the door.
And when you walk down the street, don't look at your feet. Look ahead. Find out where you're going. Who's coming to you.
Exactly. You keep your mind um, on what's going on. You're constantly looking at your exterior. And add to that the fact that um, that I walk with a cane, that I don't move that fast, and I don't think it's necessarily a terrorist thing, but you just seem like are you become more of a victim or a potential victim. And it's interesting because I had this conversation with a friend of mine just day before yesterday, and she was asking me, you walk with the cane, don't you feel um, vulnerable? And I said, yeah. I mean, I've considered getting a gun. Bear spray is too big to carry around.
You need the cane with
But
the sword inside.
yeah, what a what
Snicker snack.
a gun or a taser or something to disable somebody. I'd probably rather go with the taser because I don't know how I'd feel if I killed somebody, even if they were attacking me. I don't know if I want to take somebody's life, but if it's him or me, you know,
Well,
my only worry about a gun is that you know when as my father taught me at a very young age, when you point the gun at somebody, you better have the intention of killing them in your mind. You can't because you don't know what's going to happen,
you
and
can't unpoint a gun.
right, and there's stuff about, and we always kind of kid about it, saying, well, why can't the cops shoot him in the knees? Well, that's all well and good, but the idea is you don't shoot him in the knees. You're aiming for the heart or whatever, and just the thought of having to live with a gun in my pocket. Um, I did that before. When I lived in New York, I carried a gun because I used to carry money. I used to carry payrolls, and I hated it. My thing was I always had to watch. my biggest fear was sliding into the car, into the truck, and hitting the trigger and it going off and shooting me in the leg or something.
Exactly. No, that's a good cautionary fear to have.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it always made you put the safety on.
Damn right.
So and it's interesting, and this surprised me a little bit that I haven't heard anything about this yet. And again, this is purely speculation. This is only again, we're just thinking things. I'm kind of surprised that in a place like New Orleans, there wasn't somebody with a gun in the crowd that would have shot this guy.
Well, there might have been, but reacting to something like that is a momentary thing. I bet that attack from start to finish did not last very long.
Yeah, probably not. But you do, again, you do. One of the favorite lines of the gun people is, well, gee, if everybody had a gun,
That wouldn't have
they
happened. Yeah.
that they could have taken this guy out. Not this particular guy, but a perpetrator. And I hadn't heard anything about that. And again, I'm not advocating that either. I'm not advocating we become a society of people who carries guns around
I
all the
haven't
time.
seen the video. Were the streets of New Orleans packed? Was it a big crowd?
I have not seen the video, but the streets apparently were still pretty crowded. It's 3 a.m. That's like, that's halftime for
It's
partying in New Orleans.
it's just like getting ready for lunch.
Yeah, I mean, how crap happens there, man. It's 4 or 5 o'clock before anybody goes home. The young people are out. They have the stamina to be out there partying a lot more. Mikey, I think we pray for the people who lost their lives.
Trying to have a good time.
Just trying to enjoy themselves, man. Just going out. And I know it's easy to say that.
The BB King and Elvis.
Well, you go out, you take your chances, but it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be that you go out to celebrate New Year's. You go to a place where you're not going to be bothering. There's a whole bunch of people that are like you are, so you're in a like what crowd, and something like this happens.
You're all taking the same hurricane mix.
Yeah, it doesn't seem fair, man. It doesn't seem right. And again, I don't know what you can do about it except to be vigilant. If you see something, say something. They're so right
That's all
with
you can
you.
do.
And I mean, I don't know what will make these people happy.
Nothing.
If you went to the terrorists and said to them, "We want you to stop doing the terrorism," what'll it take? What'll it take for you to stop?
I bet you couldn't get an agreement on that.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it back in a year ago, October, with the October attacks in Israel.
How did that go? How did that go? How did that work out for you?
Well, it's not working out good for them. It's not working out good for anybody, really. It's not working out good for the people that did the attacking. It's not working out good for the Israelis because they've now become this pariah.
Exactly. We said pariah at the same time.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, we've been working together a while.
2025. It's here. We're talking in tongues.
Oh my God, that's the second time we've done that this show too. Well, the shows that we think alike.
Well,
I have to. I got to show you something that I got for Christmas. I'm going to turn this around a second. I don't know that it'll show it. Let me see if I can take it off the wall. But my good friend Bill got me this little.
On the air. I love it.
I've never had it on the air light before.
New York Vinnie is on the air. That's a
Now
great
we got to
gift.
get one for your end, or maybe we'll get a Mikey and Vinnie one. But it's fun. I never had one of these things before. I don't, it's funny. I've always looked for, an old radio station. Matter of fact, I've actually, at a couple of times, talked to a couple of engineer friends of mine and said, hey, can you get me an old on the air light? But evidently, they go for some big money.
Especially if it's from KGO.
Yes. Now, what happened? They're giving up their signal.
They're giving up the call letters, which is stupid. Changing them to KSFO. They're taking the KSFO talk format, moving it to KGO, changing KSFO's call letters to KZSU, which is like the Stanford station, and dropping KGO forever.
Why would you get rid of those calls?
Why? It's completely unnecessary. It's completely uncalled for. They've lost their mind. Cumulus. I work for those middle midgets in Fresno. What a bunch of jacks. Jackanapes.
Yeah.
This is just unconscionable. It's pathetic.
It's another indicator, Michael, that the radio business is dying. It's just
but before it dies, it wants to kick over the lantern and set the barn on fire.
Right. It's not going to go quietly. It's just another. Yeah, it just seems to be another piece of
death without dignity.
Once glorious profession, once glorious, a profession that people suffered to be in.
Yeah.
I mean, you think back of the sacrifices that we made to be in this business, the uprooting and moving and hours that you worked, holidays.
To be on the air at 6 a.m. on Christmas.
Right.
Wow.
And you did it because it was such a great job. There was no other job like it. There was nothing like it. And if you were successful at it, or even mildly successful, you didn't even have to be a Howard Stern even if you were successful in your area, successful in your format.
You were one of the few.
You had this great feeling, the self-satisfaction of entertaining people. And for a guy like me who wanted to be an actor, but couldn't remember lines, this was a way to do what I loved.
Theater of the mind.
It was a way to play, to be a character, to be, to be somebody. And not to mention the fact that, you walked into places and people knew who you were, and people came up to you and told you how much they enjoyed what you were doing. I mean, what other job? I don't think many insurance agents get that.
I don't think so.
And the sad thing is, Michael, and this all could have been saved. This all could have been saved.
They didn't have to do it. They're just like saying, we know the station's called WABC, but we don't want it that anymore. We want it to be called WZSU. It's better. It tested better. We're ready to go. Drop the old call letter. We're going to leave them behind. Time to move on. Terrible decision. Terrible.
I feel bad for local radio stations. The stations that serve small towns and serve that were the lifeblood.
But to give up a 3-letter call, you don't get those back. You can't just say, now we want to be KGO again. No.
No, I mean, you can now what can you do can you transfer 3-letter calls? Or are they, once you lose them, they're gone?
Question. I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's I mean, because I would think that somebody would grab those calls pretty quickly. And even though the methodology to rate a station is different now than it was back in the days, I mean, this is a station that had a 50 share at night.
This station was number one for 40 years.
It was, yeah, it never dropped below number one in the entire time I lived in the Bay Area, from 80 to 93. It never ever dropped below number one.
No, every book, every year.
And the personalities that run that station were household words, household names. If Jim Wygant told you to go to a place to buy something, you went to the place and bought it if you needed
Also,
it.
they struggled for many years before they got the talk format going, the news talk format, trying to find a handle on the market. And when they came up with talk with Les Crane and Ira Blue and the early crews, that was their they unlocked the magic. They unlocked a new format.
Yeah, and even the people that they brought in, after that first class, the Jim Easons, the Ron Owens,
Jim Duggan.
um, uh, you know, and they had that perfect mix of the morning news and the afternoon news blocks, and then they put the talk around that, so you would, the people in the afternoon were setting up what the evening guys were going to be talking about, but they'd probably be talking about something in that. But they also added a magazine element into it. They brought authors in. They brought musicians in. They brought people who were coming to town.
The voice of the city.
And then they mixed that in with the voice of the people. They let people go. I mean, you can't find a radio station today that lets listeners talk to the jock. Talk radio is dead. They should call it bloviating radio. Because no station, and I really do think that the station is going to be successful, is going to come up with this brand new formula where we let the people that listen to the station on the air to tell us our opinions, to have a conversation with people.
I heard what you said, Vinny, but you're wrong because. I heard what you said, and I love what you said because.
But that made good radio. That made, that back and forth, when it was done respectively, I thought made great radio because it was a town hall. It was a conversation.
I think they got to the point where the audience was angrier than the host, and they just stopped putting it on the air.
Yeah, could be. It could be. Well, that's sad that the KGO is those call letters are going away. I hope somebody picks them up.
I think they're lost, but I could be wrong.
It's I just think of again the great voices that they had on, the great personalities they had on. I mean,
And two basic
anybody
call letters. You have KGO and KSFO. You have those call letters in your company, and you screw them both up. You move one to 81, where it's been KGO for 100 years, 100 years, and you take KGO and you just throw it out, toss it. So there is no KGO where it's been for 100 years, and KSFO has been moved, so it's not there anymore. So you screw up two call letters, screw two places on the dial, and the idea that more people are going to listen, that more people are going to be interested, that more people will take interest in your product. No, you screwed up two radio stations trying to empower both of them. You messed it up. That's cumulus broadcasting, by the way. If you have that stock, dump it.
Well, and but I'd like to say it's just cumulus, but it's not. It's an industry-wide problem. It's not just one or two companies that are doing it. It seems that one company did it, and now everybody's following because that's what people in radio do.
Always have done.
It doesn't. One person does something, and the next thing you know, I mean, this Seattle is a city that last year 2 stations in one day flipped the country.
Thinking that they really had the market by the balls.
Yeah, 2 stations flipped the country, not one, two,
On the same day.
on the same day. Was a new high in following you in follow radio.
Remember, color radio, the Blair stations, KDWB, KEWB, KFWB, all said, "My mommy listens to KFWB," as if that was going to make somebody listen to a top 40 station. And stations all across the country said, "My mommy listens to KFWB. My mommy listens to WINS." What do we care what your mommy listens to? This is a kid for radio. This is a radio station for kids, for young people. It's the top 40 station. Your mommy doesn't come into the equation, and yet there you go. It was in every station. Monkey see, monkey do. That was their positioning statement.
It's interesting to me, Michael, that I was just maybe it was last night or a couple of days ago. I think it was a couple of days ago, actually. I was listening to this woman, because I love to go on YouTube and listen to, different opinion pieces and different things. And this woman was talking about artificial intelligence. And she was saying that more and more senior citizens, more and more people today, not just senior citizens, but people past a certain age, like 35 to 55, are getting familiar with artificial intelligence because they need a friend.
Oh boy.
And so these AI bots can, be friends with them, talk to them, address them. I know it's kind of creepy, but if you look at it from the point of a person who's lonely, who lives by themselves, who for whatever reason has alienated their family or this or that or the other thing, um, you can see the point of it. You can see
Suddenly
people,
we got a Blade Runner.
but it also struck me when this woman was talking is that's what radio was supposed to do. That's what we always sold radio as, right?
A
As a friend.
companion.
Dory Monson, agree with him or not, was somebody that was appointment listening because you went there every day and you listened to him and you sometimes you threw stuff at the radio or you didn't agree with him, but he felt like it was your friend. It was somebody that you knew. And no matter how lonely you were or how, much you worked alone or whatever, that person was there. Our show was on every morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. People could get in their cars and they knew that they were going to hear us bantering with each other.
Yep.
And we became, how many people brought us food to the station, brought us, invited us to their homes, this, that, the other thing. I mean, you really, they knew us better than we knew us. We were their friends. And
Reliable
whether,
neighbor.
and so now we're spending billions of dollars to develop what radio pissed away.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars to develop a box that will sit in your house and talk to you.
Look up stuff for you.
It kind of seems dumb if you ask me. I hope that somewhere, somehow, somebody with a license, an FCC
A
license,
license to entertain
realizes
what they've got.
what it's supposed to be before it's too late and they blow everything. You know that bill that was in the House to require automakers to to keep AM radios in cars
Yeah.
didn't go through.
It's the power of the hate talk.
Well, it was they attached it to that budget bill,
Yeah. So it got left behind.
so it got left behind. It got pulled off. So they're going to have to try to do that again when Congress reconvenes.
It's not a big deal for the automakers, but it's just something that has.
Oh, it's better for the automakers. They'd rather put, they want to sell people subscription services. They have whole. I mean, we had a guy on from Volkswagen a year ago talking about all of the different subscription services that Volkswagen was getting ready to introduce to their cars, so that you're not
You
going to
buy
need a radio. You'll have
an audio
satellite. You have
package.
satellite. You'll have this. You have that. And if there's an alert that you need, if there's something that needs to be conveyed to people, it'll come through their phone, through their app.
Right.
Now that hasn't worked out so far, but that's where they want to go. They want to not. They realize that these car companies are not just um, automotive builders, but there's a great revenue source in selling subscription type services to these different customers to come
Which
and
of
buy.
our custom audio packages would you be interested in, Mr. Richichi?
Yeah, and so we can have the AI person who sits in the car next to you and tells you where to make a left and where to make a right.
They can't tell you
We
if it's
call it
flooded
we call
out.
it the mother-in-law package. Oh, we have the pain in the ass kid package. It only comes out of the speaker in the back seat and just keeps saying, "Daddy, I want ice cream. Daddy, I want ice cream." I mean, they have the different,
Play the soundtrack from Wicked. Play the
yeah.
soundtrack from Wicked.
But that's what it's the idea that the automakers have. So if you can pull the AM and FM radios out of cars,
Gotta have something in your dash to entertain you.
it makes it more likely that you'll buy those services. And you can, if you have a smartphone, get all of those stations on an app.
Yeah. You plug it into your dash and you're ready to
Plug it
go.
into your dash and you're good to go. So, the automakers can save money and possibly earn money. And I don't think that
You listen to Sirius more than I do because I don't have satellite radio, but do you think it's a good service for
yeah,
the.
I think it's great. I think it's great because it's so compartmentalized, and they do great things. They do in the summer. They do a Beach Boys channel. They have different channels, not only where they play the music of the artist, but the artist will come on and pick their favorite music,
Oh, yeah.
and people that like that artist will come on and they'll pick their favorite songs from that artist. They use it's not boring, and you can get just about every kind of format. I mean, there's a format that kind of duplicates the city. There's a format that's straight out, flat out, um, early '70s rock and roll.
They
There's
still have deep.
Christian.
They still have deep
There's
cuts.
Canadian. There's French. There's religion. There's hot talk. There's liberal talk. I mean, there's something there. They have 300 something channels. Um, you can, you can get in the car and you can turn. I mean, I can listen to the Mets game if it's on. I got the sports package. You just get in the car, you turn it to 321 or whatever it is, and you're sitting there listening to the local New York broadcast of the Mets game like you're driving down Roosevelt Avenue.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, so there's the Sinatra station. So yeah, so it's great. I mean, would I pay $10 a month for it? I might. What I don't like about it, though, is it's not local.
Live and local beats it every time.
It's not live and local.
So anybody can play Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult, but you can't you can't follow it by being down the street.
Yeah, yeah. You don't get the local feel. You don't get the local jock who is telling you to come out this Saturday afternoon to Benny's Car Wash, and I'll be there cleaning windshields and
I'll be
come
selling
by
meat
and
out
say
of I'll
hi. And
be selling frozen meat out of a weird truck.
yeah, don't mind the smell.
We broke down in Washtuckna, but it'll be okay if you eat it today.
It'll be okay. We'll get it there to you. But that's you don't have that, and to me, that was always one of the most really endearing things about radio
Yeah.
is that you had that connection, and those jocks, as good as they are, and they have some great jocks. They have Earl Bailey. They have uh, Shotgun Tom Kelly, who's been
But,
around
the,
for a
but
million
they can't
years.
say it's 82 degrees at the World Trade Center. No, not the World Trade Center.
Yeah,
The 82 degrees at the
82 degrees at the Empire State Building at our
that's
transmitter
what I
or
was
what?
trying to
Yeah,
think of. There you go.
and so there, so that they fight that. You don't get farm reports. If you're a farmer out in Ohio or in Indiana or something, you're not getting farm reports. You still got to
Is
go
it
to
gonna
local radio for that.
is it gonna rain or is it gonna blow? We got to know.
Yeah. So that's where the space is, I think, for local radio. But again, it's becoming not profitable. And when you look at how many ads are on digital between YouTube and these different things, I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, but it has to be cutting into radio budgets.
Because that's the first thing you cut to provide money for your digital budget.
That's usually the first.
That and print.
Yeah, that's usually the first. The first to go is radio. Haven't sold radio for a while. I know I'm pretty familiar with what's the first to go.
It looks like we'll follow them. You want to go? Should we try
I
it
think
on
we should go.
Friday?
We should go, but we'll be back on Friday
Yeah, we'll be back.
if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. I mean,
Well,
that's the
now
that's the
that damn creek better let us come back on Friday, please.
that's the kicker, man. Well, I'm sorry we got the start of the year off to such a bad start. I wish that we could have gone through your list of musicians, but why don't we do that on Friday? Because I think that would be, I always liked, not that I like to hear that people died, but I enjoy just looking back on these careers. We lost a lot of people this year.
Lost a lot of people. I'll just grab my list and see what grabs my attention first. Uh, Dick Dale.
Yeah. Quincy Jones is one that sticks out.
Chris Christopherson.
Chris Christopherson, yeah.
Well, it's a long and interesting list. Phil Esch of the Grateful Dead.
Yeah. Yeah, didn't get to go get his Kennedy Award.
Nope. We'll send that to you, Phil, wherever you happen to be.
Yeah, just address it to Mill Valley. They'll find you.
Oh, they'll find him. Anyway, we'll see you Friday for a Freaky Friday. It'll be a Freaky Friday.
We'll hook up Friday morning at 10:10 for a Freaky Friday. To everybody out there, have a happy New Year. Enjoy yourselves as much as you can today. I know it's going to be a rough day for a lot of people, but there's a lot of football to take your mind off it. Let's hope that we get through the rest of the day, maybe even the rest of the year without any.
We are both a freaky. We're both a freaky and a fragile nation. So let's put this thing together for crying out tears.
Yeah, it's gonna be a wild year, no matter how you slice it. it's going to be a wild year. So, Michael,
then,
as
man.
I hope you all the time, peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
Even on this day, that's quite a wine.
What a wine it is.
See you
I forgot
Friday.
where I was going. All right. Thank you all for listening to. We'll catch up with you Friday morning at 10:10. Bye-bye now. Take care of yourselves, huh?